Boker Tov, you guys.
Boker Tov.
So good to see your faces. You have no idea. I have been missing you guys since Crestone, and it has been far too long since I've been able to see you, hear you, be near you guys. So I am sending you a huge hug right now.
Thank you.
So how are you guys doing this morning?
Good. Hopefully Ken's been giving you at least our
he
hug.
does. Yeah, he does. He also gives me updates as to what you guys share. And because I'm always asking, I'm like, so how'd it go today? What'd you guys talk about? You know, trying to get it. But here's the deal, guys. What I would say would maybe be 1,000 words to describe something. What Ken says is like 100. So there's a lot that's probably left out in the translation from your conversation, but that's okay. I know that they're good, and I know that they're purpose, and he shares the wonderful aspects of the conversation. So I don't have to know all the words. I just, I'm missing. The difference between how us as women communicate versus how men communicate. It's all good. It's all good. I have to read between the lines. So let's get to what I really wanted to discuss with you guys today, because I really wanted to ask you guys to share a little bit about your journey as a family brought into the sacred languages, and kind of how it came about and what your experience has been, not only just individually with the languages, because I know there's ups and downs, and there's frustrations and there's victories, but also what it's been like to introduce it to your whole family, and the different ways that you've done it. And then if we have time and it's not time constraint, and Zehren, you feel up to sharing some of your work of what you've dug out, I'll just remind you again, it matters not how polished it sounds, because the information is there and it is speaking to you. And I would just love to hear more excavations from your heart, like some of the stuff you shared when we were in Crestone, because it touched me deeply. And I would like other people to know that there are family members that are doing this, and the difference that it makes in their life. So I'm going to leave it open to you guys to share. And if I feel like I need to ask some questions, but I really just want to hear from you guys about your journey. So, and whoever wants to speak, please, you both have something to bring.
Well, it's definitely kind of been a long time coming. It hasn't just been a suddenly for me. It was a progressional thing that led me to the place where I'm at, where I was able to express where I was at with somebody in a vulnerable place. And some of our early conversations, like, you're like, wow, there's a lot there. And that was all bottled up, and I didn't know what to do with it. And Vanessa was being wary of me sharing some of the stuff
over and over. Sometimes.
So it was a blessing to be able to express that with you. And then hearing your perspective from the word gave me, I think we've talked about it before, where I heard you talk about the beast of revelation. And when I heard that one, it was like a wave of peace came over me, because I realized that I was the one, it was the mirror that I finally saw. And then I didn't have to be controlled by fear anymore.
That's so awesome. That's huge, Zehren. That's huge.
Yeah. And it's obviously because of what we've also discussed with breaking the habit of being yourself, that those programmings are still there, but realizing what I can do with them now, and we would say transmute or look in the mirror and shatter the mirror and go through it. That's what the language has done for me personally. There's a lot more that can be said there, obviously history and stuff, but for as far as family, I never really could say it out loud, but I didn't know how to be necessarily the dad I wanted to be, or a father. Still, that's always going to be a work in progress. But what I felt like that I would leave behind for my kids was empty, until again I saw there was something there that I could pass on that would not only teach them from my heart, but then once they get it, it just carries on from there, and it's no longer a burden I have to carry. It's something I get to give them.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow. I felt that one. And that's truly, that is it. That's it.
Mhm.
Oh,
Not only is this the gift of me, but it's the gift of us.
exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And the beauty of being able to have your children revealed to themselves, right? This is the gift of truly finding who you are. And I mean us as we, but even the specific journey that has been laid out for each one of your children and the path that they are meant to take. Because it's not, I mean, I don't know how many of us have been in that place where we felt like we needed to follow into our parents' footsteps, whether they've had businesses or different things, and it just hasn't felt right. Well, this self-discovery helps show them the path that they need to go in, which is going to be the revealing of them in what is most fruitful for them. So that's beautiful. That is an incredible gift that is priceless, right? There, you can't even put a value on that as to the inheritance that you are leaving and providing for your children.
And then I'll take it a step further, and then I'll let Vanessa share. And this is a shout out to Christopher, our friend that we met in Crestone.
Mm-hmm.
And the gift that he was to us, as well as what we got to give to him. And going there to Crestone, I didn't really have any expectations other than just showing up. And but as the week led on, I started to realize something about my kids just being kids and letting them be who they are. And then I saw that when Christopher came in the equation, my kids latched onto him. And
Tour guide.
it just, yeah, he was a tour guide.
That was so awesome.
Put them all around. And love them, and
Oh,
amazing connection for sure.
Yeah, but as I reflected on the week, and as it got to a point where it was like 2/3 of the way through, I realized something that I wanted to give from my heart when he needed a foundation. It was a cement foundation. He was going to play a place to stay, and I shared this with him, and I said, I realized, Christopher, that I was expecting to give you a physical foundation in that cabin, but what I realized that I was to give you a different kind of foundation. And he said, what is it? And I said, you already know. And immediately he said, family.
that's so
And there's a lot more to that story, but he knows it, and that's what's important. But what I wanted to emphasize is that they were an expression of the language to him in the physical form, just being themselves. And that's what the language again showed me, that the mirror was there for him as well as my kids and for me in the flesh as people walking it out. And that in itself is a gift to see in the flesh. But
absolutely,
it's somewhat difficult to touch something when you're internalizing it like that all the time, when you're looking at these languages and hearing it, but then you get to walk it out, and it's something that you just can't miss it. It's right there in front of you. And
it's the word made flesh. Oh my gosh, you guys, I've missed you.
Missed you too.
I made sure I had Kleenex by me today because I knew that I was going to be doing the waterworks again. And it's what family does for me. I just instantly get into waterworks. So Zehren, thank you for sharing that, because that truly is the purpose of why we're doing this, right? It's so that we can be that walk in that way of light in this world that is, seems to be so dark, but we're helping to change it one person at a time by being the light and being the way and becoming in that state of being. So that was beautifully said, and I witnessed it. as well. And I saw the transformative work that happened within that time that we were there. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So thank you from my heart to yours as a family for the gift that you bring as just being you. It's truly, it's very humbling. And it's what I always wanted to see. It walked out and you guys are doing it. So that's a gift. Like a gift to me personally. Anyway. So tell me a little bit so that people, I know this story, and then I'll have Vinessa share it because her standpoint of being mom and helping with teaching the letters and that journey. But so people can know how we met, because sometimes people want to know, well, how did this connection happen? And then the story of the letters in the Bible and how that all came about, because that was just like so amazing. I love that.
Well, it started with me, but Vanessa's always been in the I hesitate, I almost said background, but she was definitely not in the background in this. She was right there with me face to face through the whole thing. But I was obviously the one that was making the connections with you at first. And then, so it started with my seeking journey of just seeking in general. And it was a YouTube channel. I don't even remember what it was, what the video was, but my eyes connected to a comment communication going on between you and somebody else. And that's all I remember, other than the fact that it drew me in like nothing had ever drew me in as far as comments, communication, reading comments back and forth between two people. And it's like, there's something there. I need to know where this came from. And so I got over on your channel, and the rest is history as far as that's concerned. But then I asked my daughter one night, would you like to learn Hebrew with me? I was brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, and she came up.
Last year,
she was 8. Yeah, she was 8 last year.
8 years old.
And she just disappeared. I'm like, oh, okay. She didn't say anything. She just disappeared and came back all excited with a book that we
no, her Bible.
Well, a book and a Bible and her Bible, and she opened up to Psalms 119 and said, "Look, Dad.
Look, Daddy. There's Hebrew letters in my Bible."
Exactly.
And the word Salah was in the book that she gave. She said, "Look, there's a Hebrew word here too," and that's the first word that you broke down for me and said, "Look at all this other stuff that's in that one word." And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I knew right away that there was something there, not only for me, but for all of us. And then we just started learning the alphabet and found some songs online that we could, kids like learning their ABCs and connecting to a song. So we found one, and that's the song that they got to sing to Christopher in the mountains in Crestone. And they said the angels sang to him here today.
That's right. Right. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. So one quick story.
Yeah, please.
My Tressa, she's the second youngest. She's one of our twins.
No, she is the youngest.
She is the youngest.
They're only 11 minutes apart. Yeah. They're twins. So they are practically the same age. 11 minutes, same day.
But she saw a tree out in the forest one day, and she says, "Look, Nun Sofit."
They love the Sofites. And
it was obviously in the shape of a Nun Sofit, because the tree had come out of the rocks, and it's just so innocent. And
I so love that.
And that she doesn't really get it yet, but she's just it's so innocent and a seed planted. And
yes. Well, and how beautiful is that literally the noon is a seed. It's a seed of life. And so what is the seeds that are being planted? And she registered that. and just the joy and childlike innocence. That's so beautiful. Wow.
You want to say anything about your?
Yeah, I'd love to hear you from your side of it, and even how you kind of use the Hebrew verses and letters and words to help bring the kids together when they're in confrontation with one another. I love that.
So, anyways, we did the Jim Staley videos that you suggested at the beginning. So we kind of just started with Aleph and worked our way through. It was a little bit of a struggle for Zehren, I think, because he saw the duality of it more so than I think me and the kids really saw. But I mean, we all, Trinity, Zehren and I had notebooks. The other kids were given, we had printed off some little worksheets, Google, trace this. And we have, what are those pens? The dry erase markers and like a clear sheet. And so you put your paper down, your clear sheet, and you sit there and you trace your letters, and then you wipe it off and you do it again. And so the three younger ones did that while, we were listening, and we'd sometimes pause it and, talk about things, or did you get that? And it was a lot of pausing so we could write down things. We're, Trinity and I are slower writers than, him. So, it was just like our a family time. And it was not every day, it a couple times a week, as much as that we really could put into it, I guess, at that time. And I guess I got a little frustrated with him because he was so hungry for it that he started listening to things, those videos while he was at work. And because he was, truck driving, and so he could do that, or driving a tractor or whatever. And so it was a little frustrating to, no, we're supposed to do this together. And we had that conversation, and you're like, it's okay. But he goes forth and cut through the forest before you. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And he didn't mind listening to him again with us. But as a family, we got through all of it. And then we started making flashcards, doing more of, the tracing for the little ones. We have flashcards now, and we'll hold one up and say, what's this? And they'll say Aleph. And okay, you said the name, what's the number? What does it mean? Anything else that you can explain or tell us about, because we have 4 children. And so they each tell us one thing, and we just sit around and go around the table. We use the alphabet songs, and they're to the point now where they're kind of making their own, they say the alphabet, but it's their own little tune. It's not ABCs, it's, Aleph, bet, gimel, dal, hey, and so they do it as fast as they can, and then they do it as slow as they can. And when we're driving in the car, we'll play little games like that. We used to do it with the ABCs, like, okay, you name, what does A start with? Ape. Okay, you, apple, me, aardvark. And then we move on to B. And so we've kind of started doing that a little bit more with the Hebrew letters, like, okay, Aleph, what does it mean? And so we've just kind of very repetitive. And with our growing, it's, Trinity's breaking apart words now. And we're like, okay, well, look at this, hers is very basic, like ours was last year. And we've come a long way, I think. So, we'll sit down and say, okay, well, have you thought of this? Or, this is what it's saying to me. What do you think? And so we kind of have that conversation. It's a back and forth. It's not just a one-sided, this is what it is. This is how you're going to do it. And, because they've taught us a lot too. We've talked about the gematria and how to, add them up and see what else it relates to with the number. And
something that she pointed out from one of the English scriptures is that iron sharpens iron. She's like, iron? Huh, nail. It's a vav. 2 vavs.
That's the number 6. 6 is man.
There's, so she's making those connections already.
Wow. That's so incredible. Oh my gosh. That is, I just want to get up and do a little jig right now. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. This truly,
when I think about it, sometimes that's all I can do too.
It's a journey for sure.
This has been my desire when I first started studying this and seeing the potential to bring families together, to strengthen bonds. Because I always, for me, and I'm sure you guys can understand this too, you're raised in the English Bible, and you see things like raise up a child in the way they should go, and when they're an adult, they won't depart from it, right? And then you see the stories of children that are raised in the church and then they depart from it. And it's like, so something is missing. What is missing here? What is the element? And then as soon as I started studying the language, I went, this is the element. This is it. This is truly what has been missing, because it lays out the spiritual journey. And because it is more of a mystical path, like it'll get you there, you end up getting experiential knowledge here of the divine. And so as soon as you touch that, you don't want to depart from it because it's nowhere else to be found. And so I honor you guys as parents, as my friends, as my family, as we are one family. I see us as we, our family. And I honor everything that you guys are doing. I honor the struggle, the ups and the downs, the wrestling with the language, everything that you guys have had to go through to get you to this point, because of the beauty that is surfacing through your hard work and labor, through the work and deed of your own hand. Ken and I tried to share what we could with you guys, and we continue to do so, but you guys are the ones that are doing it. You are doing the work. And so the fruit is manifesting in your lives and in through your lives. And it is the absolutely most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And so thank you. Thank you. That's all I can really say on that is thank you. It's profound.
Well,
it's profound.
Thank you too, because something I've learned that, we have all these questions in life, and a lot of them go unseemingly unanswered. And I think it's because we're so nonchalant about the questions.
Oh, that's good.
And in reflecting on where I've come from in the last 2 years, just with you guys and Vanessa as a witness, my wife is a witness too, I asked some pretty hard questions that I didn't realize were questions at the time. One of them I knew was a question, and I was literally in tears in our kitchen telling her, how do I give something away, love, when I don't know what it is? And that came from Ephesians, knowing that I have the verses, knowing you have the capacity to know the width, the breadth, the depth of God's love, the capacity. So it's in me. Okay, I get it. But how do I give it away if I don't have it? How do I get it? And then you guys show up, and the very first verse in the Bible says, you need to build this. And this is the blueprint.
Exactly.
Literally right there. So because I had a question from the depths of my heart, connecting to my heart, I got an answer.
Exactly.
So that's one of about 3 or 4 different examples of where I had questions that I was almost in tears, each one of them. And one time I was so much upset, like just so much emotion, that I thought I was, in the Christian prayer aspect. But I realized now, when we've looked at the words where they come up of what prayer is, and before I even looked at that verse in the Hebrew, knowing that it says, that you are part of that word, it's in you. Before I knew that, there's this inherent, because I've listened to the language so much, that I said out loud, your life is a prayer. My life is a prayer. And then the word confirms it.
Absolutely.
And obviously it's hard to see that unless you've looked at it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And
that's right.
So, I mean, there's another example of the theft in the garden, I had a prayer where I was on the phone, literally probably the most emotionally I've ever gotten. You know, I saw all this crumbling in my family, like what is going on? I feel, and it mainly had to do with finances, but I saw on all these different levels of theft from health and relationships. And I was, you know, putting my foot down and said, this is enough. And at that time, I was blaming the enemy, right? Not knowing the enemy was within me and seeing that reflection. But out of that emotional state and connecting to my heart, that's where the question that I didn't know was a question, when I presented the verse in Revelations about the headwind.
That's right.
Goes all the way back to the garden, the theft in the garden. And you guys have done an incredible job of pulling all that out and answering that one question.
Well, that one question led us on a whole sharing that I know wasn't only just meant for you, you know, it was like for us to understand, to comprehend the journey and the difficulty and what has happened and where we're going and who we are. I mean, that was a huge catalyst for us as well. So I see the beautiful synergy between the questions and the answers coming as we are all walking this out together, because we are walking this out together. You know, we might be separated in different places in the world and in the States, but we are one family and we are one heart and we are one love, and we are doing this with one another and we are encouraging one another. And I see the beauty of the unity of being able to connect through the sacred languages, because it is all about light and love. You know, and at that point, it's like when you get into them, you see that and you don't see the divisions anymore. I mean, at the beginning, it teaches you duality. It shows it to you completely. And you're like, oh, no wonder why we've had the separateness. But then you see the beauty of the unity that coming together and recognizing the fact that we were separated. And then when you start seeing that, like you said, and we've shared before, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so it automatically draws you to one another. So I love the heart connection that we have. And, you know,
and then it just releases all the pressure of trying to convince somebody your way, your side of view, because you realize there's an individual side to it. But as we all grow individually, it also puts us together as family, because we all see it from a different vantage point, but we're all going the same direction.
That's right.
And it's not linear, it's quantum.
That's right.
Well, I mean, I guess it is linear, but also quantum.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the combination of what they would call the golden mean fractal, where you have the linear and the spiral that are coming together to become fully built as family. And taking all those aspects with the masculine and the feminine, and so that we can celebrate one another. You know, that I think that's the beauty too, is that not only do you get to see you, but you get to see others, right? It's because of that mirror. And, you know, we can look at one another and say, I see you, which is at the heart level. It doesn't matter anything else. I see you right here. And that's what's so beautiful for me, and what I see in your family. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much love that I experienced from you guys and your children when I was in Crestone. I mean, I had felt like I'd been in deficit of hugs for a long time, and by the time I left, I was overflowing with hugs. I mean, I felt like I was one giant big hug, just walking around needing to give it away, because I had been filled so much with just how awesome your kids were, just coming up and out of nowhere,
come in, get out, and like leave again. And it's like,
I know. It reminded me of how hummingbirds are, you know, like they come out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're like zip, and then they give it a hug and then zip, and then they're gone. And you're like, wow, what was that? That was a flyby hug. And they did it so awesome. And it was like, oh my gosh, my heart was so full. I mean, so your family is a gift and a blessing. And anybody that gets to spend time with you or be in your presence are going to see the beauty of who you are as family, what gifts you are to humanity, what gifts you are to all of us. and being able to see how your children are being raised in an environment where this is a nurturing place for them to grow within the language and the fullness of the expression in their unique journey as well. And so again, I honor you guys for how you are choosing to parent them and allowing themselves to reveal themselves within the sacred languages and what the letters are beginning to reveal to them. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
I guess
Do you have any?
Going back to the mirror, I guess we've openly talked to the kids about that too. And when somebody does something to you, like maybe you did something to them, and so obviously we're putting an outward directive onto that a little bit. But if you hit somebody and they hit you back, like it's a mirror, like you obviously, and it doesn't always have to start with somebody hitting, like it could be your words. And so we've talked about that, and our son has really latched onto that. And he goes, guys, we're all one. Like, we're all one. Don't hit yourself. Don't stop. Like he's always like that. That's not nice. You wouldn't want to hit. You don't want to hit yourself.
We're still working on
awesome.
Yeah, so we're still bringing it back. But if they well, I mean, I guess I haven't done it for a little while, but at the very beginning, after we learned all the letters, Trinity and Taggart, our oldest two, started getting into an argument or whatever, and I was like, okay, no, like, we're not going to do that. And I printed off, I went to Strong's, just grabbed I don't even remember, a verse about love, probably, in the Hebrew. And, I also had the English, and I gave them our note cards, and I said, you're going to sit here and you're going to write down what each word means, and it wasn't a very long verse. I don't even remember what it was, but, and they sat there and they used the cards, Trinity, they both can write. And so they just copied down what they thought and put it together. And then we talked about that afterwards. And I think maybe even when you came home, but it just gave a totally different, like, it's like there was a reset in that frequency of getting after each other, because they were given a task to do together. And then I think with the letters, going through that and working on it together, it really, like, they weren't fighting anymore. Like, they, and it didn't take them very long. I don't even know, maybe 30 minutes, but afterwards, like, they weren't fighting anymore. It just gave a whole new frequency to the situation. And they probably apologized to each other. I don't even remember, but, yeah, like, so sometimes, I probably maybe need to break that tactic out again and do that, when, not that they're fighting a lot, but, just to, I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, totally, it's a reset, but also, hey, just sitting down and being able to go through a word together. I mean, these are bonds. This is how we build family. I mean, that's the letter bet. It's the building the family and covenant. And when you have this language of light and love, how can you not build anything but something that is of love? That's the whole purpose of it. So bringing it together in unity instead of separateness. So I love that. I think it was a beautiful choice on yours to say, hey, let's do this, and see the result between the two of them, and then the fruit. I mean, that's, wow. Yeah. Again, I honor that. I really do. I don't even have a better word for that except for honor. It's like the Namaste, honoring the light in you and the choices that you guys are making with that. It's truly amazing.
We've also gotten out a little whiteboard, and we'll pick, family or to love, and write that, the Hebrew. And so, and then we have our English, to love. And then Zehren will say, okay, well, I feel this is what it's saying to, this is what it's saying to me. And then Trinity will, this, and this is what, because she goes, very letter by letter, still that very basics. And then, I'll put in my 2 cents, and I'll write all of them on the board. And then at the end of it, we'll kind of help our littler ones through it. And when we get to the end of it, we all have however many definitions, but combined, and there's even more than what we come up with, obviously, but it really has brought us together, you know, and like working as a family unit to discover, honestly. I mean, it really is an adventure, an amazing adventure.
I would agree. I would totally agree. And you know, that's actually the beautiful side of becoming the Aleph. You know, it's the many fractals of the one in their unique expression. So you just described the process of the spirit essence of the unseen working through all of you to bring forth your own image of the one infinite creator through the vision, the unique vision that you all have. So I again, job well done, you guys. Job well done.
Thank you.
And I know that others are going to be able to listen to this and begin to consider if it's something that they want to bring into their family, just because of the witness of who you guys are and your testimony of what it's doing for you. Because it's not just like, well, this is what it did. It's the process of the ongoing process of the doing, and how beautiful it is as the children continue to grow with you guys, that you can be sitting down when they are in that maturation place, when they get past the bride training into the queen, into the intimacy training, and that you guys can sit down and discuss, you know, different verses together in that place of maturation. How incredible. How incredible. I mean, I see that vision of the building blocks and how closely that's going to knit the family together and set them on a strong foundation, just as it has for you. Wow. And then just discovering this heart essence, right? Living from the place of the heart instead of so linear. I mean, it has to start out linear because that's how you build the form, but then filling that form with the essence of spirit. Wow.
Well, and they just catch on so quickly. Like
they're sponges.
Yeah, very much so. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, they're connecting with you guys, right? Because that's also the child's desire, is having that close knit relationship with mother and father. And so if it's something that you guys are doing and you're excited and then they get to join in, it's mutually rewarding. You know, it gives each other, it's this beautiful energy exchange between each other, as you guys are the mirrors to each other, and your children are seeing this and they're an active participant in learning with you. Yeah. Wow.
And we have much to learn from them as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Mutual benefit. The mutual benefit between the two. Zehren, did you want to share anything? Did you want to share a breakdown that you did? Because I wanted to give you an opportunity if you want to. And if you don't, you don't have to. You know, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just know that like the one that you shared with us in Crestone when you guys were redoing your wedding vow, it was just beautiful.
So one thing I do want to say is we do homeschool. So I think that does give a little bit more leeway on how, you know, we're teaching Trinity is doing I mean, it's geared more towards like high school students, but it's a basic like Hebrew class, and it's mainly focusing on how to speak Hebrew. And so she's, I don't know, kind of we're at that halfway point where she's kind of over it. Because she's like, I don't really want to speak it. I want to learn how to, you know, break down the words like you and Daddy. And so I've kind of shifted, because it gives vocabulary words every week. And so I've kind of shifted and just said, okay, you know, pick one every day or two every day, however that works. I think there's maybe 7 words every week. And so some days it's 1 or sometimes it's 2. So, you know, her goal is to sit down and break it down.
Wow.
And she still listens to the lesson on how to speak it, but a lot of the time they'll say, print off this worksheet and these verses and circle all the alephs. And she's just like, I know what an aleph looks like, or circle all of the, you know, one of the vowel points that they're learning that week or whatever. And so she's just kind of over it. And she's 9. So I don't know if that tells you anything, but
I think that's amazing.
It gives us more leeway, but a lot of our breakdowns like happen after work, you know, at the dinner table. You know, when we're sharing our meal, we'll get the dry erase. You know, ours isn't very big, our dry erase board, and so we'll sit down and write it out and that kind of thing. And then we do leave it up, and we don't just wipe it off that day, and like during the week, I'll point back and say, okay, now what do you remember what it means, to love, or do you remember what family means? Like, let's talk about this. In good, first thing in the morning over breakfast sometimes, and then other times when we're having a situation where two people are not getting along, we'll go back to that still. So I think that homeschooling has helped, but that is obviously not the only way. I can see how outside, other people that send their kids to school, because, going to work is kind of, school hours too. So, well, longer, but anyways. So
thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. You ready?
Well, before I share the word that I looked into, I wanted to share that there's a progression of things that I realized in hindsight, that if I didn't see something in order of time, I would, when I got to a place where something heavy duty, like a lofty concept, came into my field of view, I wouldn't have known what to do with it. It started with, these redefining words when you're looking at the Hebrew, and it seems so daunting if you just come into this. My encouragement is to you, I didn't start with the Hebrew. The Spirit led me to the power of one word in English, how one word can be redefined, how powerful that, just one word in English. And I learned that from somebody different that taught me how powerful that was. Definition. And again, if you've been with Ken and Carrie long enough, that you understand that's where they started too. The Spirit led them in a dream. Definition, definition, definition. It's all in the book. And so realizing that you're the book, now we get the chance to redefine who we are based on our own reflection. That's the gift as well as the struggle, but redefining what a struggle is. So I wanted to preface that with one word, and then in my study of law and our foundation of our country, I was asked, I didn't particularly go this direction, but I was asked to look at the 3 words in our Declaration of Independence from the United States Constitution: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so this is one word from there, liberty. And I just looked up liberty on Strong's, and then through the letters and their definitions, I started looking at, what I saw, and just started jotting some stuff down, the Hebrew letters associated with that word, and then some of the English. So it's exempt from bondage, tax, or care, free, liberty, free from slavery, of a Hebrew bond slave, male or female, set free in the 7th year. And the Ken's talked about that, the journeyman and the life of the journeyman, 7-year cycle. So liberty right there, it obviously everything connects everything. So to be free, to spread loose, these are all just English definitions. So then I looked at each letter and broke it down and put those together in a sentence to redefine what liberty means to me in the mirror at that moment. And at that moment, it was to separate and protect the birth of reality through words, a perfect beginning, becoming a burning one, perfected by excellence, having success, victory, in a divine order, completed in the course of time, complete, having the right hand of power, met with humility.
Wow, that is so amazing. Oh my gosh.
So it is
That's so amazing.
A letter by letter start, for sure. You do not have to start with a word. It's just like kindergarten. You learn your ABCs, and then you learn to read and write. And
that was I don't know. I'm guessing that's probably at least 6 to 8 months before I even started writing anything. I was just learning the letters and still today, it's not pouring out of me. You know, I'm still contemplating things, pondering them all week long. And sometimes I'll lay down and get one little phrase in English. I'm looking at my name right now, and I'll get one little phrase, and then I write that one phrase down, and then it connects to some other phrase, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Hebrew, like the letters at that moment, but because it's a reflection of my pondering, I know that's where it's coming from. Just knowing it's settling, you know, you can look at the letters and go letter by letter, but as you soon discover that it's an expression of your heart, and so those words will just come to you in bits and spurts, and the more you sit down with them. And that's my encouragement from Ken, because he said, just be patient.
That's right.
And feel kind to yourself, and
that's right.
To you. And
thank you.
That I'll share from a place of vulnerability, because I have listened to you for over a year and a half now. It seems like a lifetime now, but I find myself where that bit of jealousy comes in, because it's so natural to you, but I realize you started somewhere too, and that I can let go of that angst, that I don't have to be anywhere but where I'm at.
That's
because
so good, Zehren.
it shows up where, you know, it's the old adage of the teacher shows up when the student is ready. It's one of those things that when you're ready, it will present itself where you're at each step, each level, and it's gentle and kind to you where you're at. And we're the ones that beat ourselves up saying we have to be somewhere else and be at this level and that. So
if you were to break down that word liberty today, it would be slightly different or very much different depending, depending on
I'm looking at the mirror or a shattered mirror from that perspective of that definition of the word, because it's a maturing process.
So your definition grows and matures over time.
Exactly.
Again, I tied in when I was saying the liberty word, I saw the 7 years, which was, I didn't see that before. I didn't know what that meant. I know what it means now. So
there you go.
Right there's the example of how that works. I hadn't looked at that.
So from the revealing to the revealing in the process of maturation, you will see more and more as you continue to dive into this. And I love that I thank you for speaking to the people that are just starting, because there is one in particular that we're actually two right now that are frustrated, and I'm thinking of a third one that has experienced that level of frustration. Yeah. And so I get it. And you are right. When Ken and I started, it was frustrating, and it was arduous. It was extremely painstaking in the process of being able to get where we are today. But, we have 10 years under our belt now. We have a decade. And so a decade's worth of work, I believe, will be a quick work for others, because we didn't have teachers really teaching us along the way. We had to bumble along. We had the spirit, the ruka, that would share things with us and show us ways that we needed to go and things that we needed to get a hold of. And so it was very, very slow. So to see where you guys have come from in a year and a half, we're talking like that took us 5 years to get there, maybe even longer. So you guys have expedited it. So please comprehend that you guys are on the fast track of it. So even though you still may see that, and I know that that is lessening in you, that's why you were sharing that. You guys have come so far in such a quick amount of time of what it took us at least 5 years to get. So, job well done.
That's a reflection of you, because again, when you see that, you want to separate yourself from somebody else and to say that, oh, they got there, but yeah, there's a work you have to do. But because of someone that has done a work, you get to benefit from it. And then if you see that and you put yourself in those same shoes, because of what you're doing, someone else gets to benefit.
So good. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And that's where I still get teary-eyed thinking about it when I get the reflection of my kids, because my struggles right now are for their benefit as well as mine.
Exactly.
And it goes with any area of life, not just in learning Hebrew.
Well said. Very well said. Well, I'll let you guys go so you can go and have your fun. Be safe today. Thank you for sharing from your hearts. It's, first of all, so good to see you guys and reconnect. I miss the fact that I have to work on Sundays, but this time has been so special for me to share with you and to hear your hearts and to hear the journey and all of that. I am so blessed. I am blessed. So I love you both. Please tell your children that I love them, hug them very deeply for me. And I look forward to seeing you guys again, hopefully this spring, as it all works out, that we'll be able to have another gathering so that we can spend some more time as family together. And another year going by, well, it won't be quite a year, it'll be 6 months, but you know, but 6 months, a lot of growth can happen in 6 months.
Very much. So the kids still talk about can carry. They talk about coloring pictures and doing their little crafts with can carry.
I love it. I love that. The two that have become one were Ken Carey. That's perfect. That's perfect. I can't think of a better nickname.
Well, they love you guys very much.
Well, we love you. We love all of you so very much. This is a beautiful birth of extension of family. And my heart just soars. My heart just soars. So thank you guys again. Todah Rabbah. Shalom, shalom, and namaste.